Games, Brrraaains A Head-Banging Life. Welcome to 10 things we hate about Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver. Yes, it is a great game. Yes, we both love it. Yes, you can go and check 10 things we love about this game out. But of course, like everything, it's not flawless. In fact, it's certainly not flawless. No. Hence why we have 10 things we hate about it. 10 things from me, 10 things from you. You start the love, I will start the hate. So, easy one first. The world is empty. It's empty. Far too empty to make it an enjoyable place to explore. You think back to that place, like it's empty. You can explore loads and so on, but all you occasionally might do is run into a handful of enemies. And there aren't many enemies either, spread out throughout. And I'm not saying we should have had towns and villages and all that, because that would have added this complication of what Brrraaains is and why the vampires haven't wiped them out. But a burnt-out village, a destroyed village, signs of life.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been nice, obviously, like, to see a burning down village, or even just a few humans like running from you.
Do you remember one point in the game very early on where you do actually run into a human being?
Yeah.
And it gets killed by one of the, and Brrraaains makes a comment about how gross and ugly the vampire is. Mm-hmm. I believe that's the only alive human you see in this game.
I think it is actually, yeah.
The fuck, man?
I mean, I suppose that in the world it's been wiped out, but then still would have been nice to have a little...
More enemies then.
Yeah.
Like, just more feelings of that world being alive. And I get it's supposed to be decaying and on its last legs. But it's just empty, which makes it not that... And here's the thing. Even exploration, all it ever results in is a glyph or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, there's not that much to it.
Nah.
Yeah. That was my first one. Did you have that?
Nope.
Oh, cool.
I've got Kane.
Right.
I mean, like I said again, Kane he's not a very likable character.
Right. Yeah. True.
Even from the first one to this one, he's arrogant.
Yep.
He's a bit of a dick, to be fair. To be honest, and obviously he thinks he's the top dog.
Yep.
Which and obviously, hence why everyone prefers Raziel.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, he's supposed to be.
Yeah. Obviously, he's meant to be. But
he's the villain.
Obviously, he's meant to be. But I mean, but then when you think from the first one, he's not a villain. He's sort of the hero.
Anti-hero.
Anti-hero, yes. He's the anti-hero. But then he turns from the anti-hero into the main bad
full
guy.
villain, yeah.
The villain, yeah.
But bear in mind, the ending that canon is the one where he doesn't sacrifice himself for the pillars. So that's Okay. Right. My next one. The first 15 minutes of this game are so hand-holdy. It's downright irritating. The first 50 minutes is a tutorial. Now, this was the first real sign when I was younger. I remember thinking, wait, wasn't that what manuals were for? Because in the first 15 minutes of Raziel waking up and then having to get out of that area involves stopping every 30 seconds while the Elder God explains something else to you. This is how you jump. This is how you float. And I get it. You need some form of tutorial. But what makes it worse for me is it's unskippable. Even on replays. The fuck's that?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, when you think about games nowadays, it was way over the top. I mean,
it's literally got you by the hand going, they're there, you don't know how to jump.
Yeah.
You know, even though most people would have started that game off, and the very first thing you've done as they moved Raziel forward was probably try out every button on it.
Yep, exactly.
And going, oh, that's why I jump. And then a minute later, you're being stopped and told how to jump.
Yep.
Really? Yeah.
I've got the controls. Like most old style PS1 games, the controls are terrible. Mm-hmm. You know, sometimes it's hard to move. You're constantly getting stuck, and especially when you're gliding. When you're gliding, like literally, I mean, I think there's one area where you've got to like glide down some massive big tunnel. You're flying down literally, and the constant time you're getting stuck with the controls and.
A lot of it's down to the bad camera as well.
Yeah.
Camera loves to swing. Oh, you got that as well?
Yeah, I've got camera in there too, yeah.
Well, I do it now, then I'll do two afterwards.
Well, again, the camera, I mean...
Yeah, it's a bad one.
Yeah,
it's a lot... It's weird. It's quite loose in this.
Yes, it is,
and you can... It's good in the fact you can rotate it.
Rotate it, yeah, but it's so awkward.
But it's very loose when you're doing something without control, and it'll swing, particularly at combat, and it'll swing around a lot.
I think there's one dungeon before the first boss where you got to jump from like literally pillar to pillar, but you're jumping and then you're trying to turn the camera as you jump, and it's just like really, really awkward.
Yes. I don't have it, but I do agree. Right, I'll do two then. Gameplay is very repetitive. Well, let's be honest, it is. Combat is exactly the same sort of process. There might be different vampire styles, but it very rarely actually warrants much strategy, particularly if you're just using your claws. There's a lot of swing in this, and ultimately as well, it's the same sort of system which we talked about in the love video, and it's not a massive negative, but it is something you kind of got to hate because it's just a dungeon thing. Here's your world, find the entrance to the dungeon, go in, get through the end, beat the boss, get the item, which allows you to progress to the next one, and that's how it works, unfortunately.
That's it, pretty much,
yeah. And another one, kind of tied into the world being an empty one, but basically there's far too little threat in the game. Most of the actual threat comes from the environment. Most of it. The bosses, you can have a bit of toughness with some bosses, and mainly how to defeat them. But actual enemies in the game, no, absolutely not. It's mostly the environment. If you'll spend more time dying, which you don't really die in Soul Reaver, dying via falling in water and that stuff. More water. That will be your number one reason you die. Yeah. Did you have any of them?
No.
Okay, cool.
I've got down very easy.
Oh yeah.
Overall, it's a simple game, really. I mean, going back to compared to Blood Omen was quite a hard game though. It was
certainly got harder.
I mean, obviously for starters it was easy, but in the end it was a lot harder. But this game was just
fucking Copenhagen, mate. That's all I remember from Blood Omen. The Plague City.
The maps, they
fucking
blocked off, proper
nightmare.
But no, I mean, this game was very, very easy. It was straightforward, no major issues. If you died, you didn't really die. You literally went to the spirit realm and then came back again.
Yeah, you would have to somehow die in the spirit. And while there was a possibility because you had those bigger enemies, it wasn't really that much of a concern. I agree, and for all, and it's so linear that the deviations, you don't have to do them, and there's no real challenge there either.
No, it's not.
I agree. Okay. They absolutely nerfed the Soul Reaver here. Its power is greatly diminished. Remember Blood Omen, the very first time you get their hands on that blade. And don't get me wrong, I ended up rarely using the Soul Reaver Blood Omen because of its drain of magic. Yeah. But the very first time you get it and you just swing it and it makes that screaming noise and it shatters bodies into bits, you're just like, the fucking quality that is. This, well, once you get it and it's the Spectral Reaver, it can't kill an enemy in one. You can't even kill an enemy in one. You've got to be... And the worst thing is it's such a pain in the ass to keep it.
Yep.
You've got to keep your health at full but it will drain if it drops. If your health isn't at full, and if it's only like markedly slightly less, it will drain your health.
Yep.
God damn it. And that's a fine system because it's a Soul Reaver. But make it worthwhile for me to even keep it.
I used to love trying to get it, and then you get it, and then literally about 2 seconds later you lost it because you got hit.
Yeah.
I've got the end boss. The end boss was so too easy, disappointing, and I just think that they could have been handled a lot better.
It absolutely could. I have it too. In fact, this is arguably, if we were putting these in order, which we're not, but if we were, this would be my number one thing. That end boss battle is a joke. No real challenge and not what you expected from a Kane face-off. Now we know it's because they were then going to do a sequel. Fuck you, man. Stupid end boss. Hated it.
Well, I mean, considering that Kane's all so powerful and that literally he should have been able to rip you to shreds.
Oh, prophecies this, prophecies that.
Exactly.
He might as well have stood up and gone, I'll see you in the sequel.
Exactly.
You know? Yeah, but we'll get to that in another one. We double up. Go again.
I've actually got down here. You put in your likes, but I put down the puzzles were too easy.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
For you then?
I'm going to contradict myself. Other than the block ones,
Yeah.
I thought the puzzles were just pretty straightforward. You know, I mean, it wasn't like having to run back in different places. You know, it just straightforward.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, I yeah, we got different opinions on that. Fair enough. I'm glad you found him easy. Right, not enough links to Blood Omen. Now, I know this might seem silly considering Kane and Nosgoth and all that, but I wanted more to the lore of the Seraphim, especially as you get this wicked reveal about 3/4 of the way through the game, or maybe even halfway. Raziel discovers that he and his brothers, for all the nobility, are just reanimated Seraphim bodies. Kane's joke for the Seraphim who were vampire hunters from Blood Omen. And it's like, that's cool. And it's like the crypt, and he sees and he finds his crypt and his body, and he's disgusted by it, and it makes him hate Kane more.
These crypts, defiled caskets of Seraphim saints, bearing my brother's names and my own. The irony of Kane's blasphemous act rushed in on me with the crushing force of revelation. Were my hands not as bloody as these? Worse, I had spilled the blood of my brothers, these very comrades whose tombs lay ravaged before me.
Yes, Raziel, you were a Seraphim, born of the same force that all but destroyed your race. Before the dawn of the Empire, you were chosen. Kane, Nosgoth's solitary self-declared monarch, plundered this tomb and raised you from these crypts. Breathing his vampiric gift into your defiled corpses, he resurrected you as his favored sons.
That's it. That's where that ends. Fucking what?
I've got down again. I did in my life, but I'll put down the fact that crystal dynamics are normal.
Okay.
You know, I mean, I like them obviously because they made this game, and obviously part of the first one.
They had a hand in it, yeah.
Yeah, and it's quite sad that I'm going to say a big company are no longer around after making two really good games.
Yeah.
From our history.
I'm not sure quite what happened to Crystal Dynamics, but ultimately its staff probably moved on and worked with companies. It's like, I never really, when a company goes over, because people, they'll get jobs in other companies and stuff like that, so I never really worry too much about it unless it's, you know, it's a really unfortunate one. But it kind of makes me think, like, it's like with Rare. You know, what is Rare now? It's a shell of that company, because Rare was, the Rare from we know from the 90s was its staff. They were the talent. Okay, well, I'll add then. I will add in something about Crystal Dynamics. The issues that rose between Crystal Dynamics and Silicon Knights. So basically, did you know this? That Soul Reaver turned into a massive row over who owned it and who owned the rights to it. And I believe it was Silicon Knights were saying like the story and the lore and stuff like that were all ours. And Crystal Dynamics were like, oh, you know. So basically, it got held up for a very long time. Meaning loads and loads of content was cut from the final game.
So it could have been some major bloody...
I'll tell you some of them.
Legal battle could have been...
It was a legal battle.
Oh, there you go.
I'll tell you some of the issues. We would have got, content. We would have got additional Raziel powers. We'd have got a third Kane battle. We only had two, which is the one you see in the pillars and the one at the end. And an extended glyph system were all cut from the final game because of the issues between them. They would resolve these issues for the next game in it, Soul Reaver 2, but that was no fucking good to us. No. Yeah, so I think that sucks. I hate that. Okay, you're up.
I've only got one left.
I've got two. Cool. Well, let me do another then, so that we end with one each. It kind of touches on the final boss thing, but that ending. So you've gone through a crap boss battle, and Kane's like, alright, I'm going through this time portal thing. I'll see you on the other side, mate. See you in Soul Reaver 2. On the PlayStation 2, not PlayStation 1 as well. We're going to put in the PlayStation 2. And that's it. A cliff, and Raziel goes through, and the elder goes like, no, Raziel. No, he doesn't sound like that. No, Raziel, don't do it. And stuff like that. And Raziel follows him through. That's your ending. No, I strongly believe no game should end on a cliffhanger. No. Like, no, it's not a movie. It's not a Star Wars film. You're not... it's just a most like, oh, okay, so if I want to see the continuation of this story, which hasn't wrapped up, you've got to wrap up this is where we're going in a sequel is fine, but you've got to wrap up your first story satisfyingly. That ain't satisfying. You're just like, oh, is that it? It's one of the worst endings.
You sound like a Shenmue fan.
Because Shenmue, while it leaves room for sequel, it wraps up the story.
Yeah,
by the end of Shenmue 1, characters have left, moving on, and so on. The story is wrapped up in that. That's what the difference is. Tell me what was resolved by the end of Soul Reaver. Tell me anything that was resolved.
You nearly had me, Raziel. But this is not where or how it ends. Fate promises more twists before this drama unfolds completely.
Be warned, Raziel. Once you cross this threshold, you are beyond my influence.
Raziel, Redeemer and Destroyer, Pawn and Messiah. Welcome, time-span soul. Welcome to your destiny.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing at all.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing. Right, go on in your last one.
My last one, because I ran out of dislikes, I just basically came up with the fact that I've not played this game in a long, long time.
It's a reason to hate it, yeah.
In many, literally probably 4 or 5 years now.
Really, been that long?
Yeah, but I mean, literally, my knowledge was only refreshed by watching the reaction trailer.
Oh, cool!
And then it made me want to go back and literally, I watched literally the last about weeks or so when watching some geezer playing it. And it's made me pissed off because I ain't got it on my computer.
Oh.
So I've literally just been watching playing the entire game.
Boo-hoo. Well, I got one for you then. It's actually quite similar. I hate, and this might seem stupid because there's nothing stopping me, but truth be told, I'm scared to. Because it means having to play many other games afterwards. I have never played Soul Reaver 2 on the PlayStation 2. So when PlayStation 2 came about, I was not gaming anymore at that point. I'd kind of turned off it, was drinking, girls, boys, you name it, everything. And it wasn't until the original Xbox that I started getting back into it, and then eventually the Xbox 360 was my lead-in back to what we have nowadays. But yeah, so things like the PlayStation 2 and all that, while I did eventually play games on those systems like Final Fantasy X and so on, a lot of it passed me by. By the time Soul Reaver 2 even came my way and I was like game for it, there were several games that followed it. Legacy of Kain Defiance. And you can read online this entire story. There's three more games that follow this entire storyline afterwards. So I've never played it. And I do keep meaning and thinking one day you're going to sit down and you go, right, let's do it. Soul Reaver, play it through again. And then straight into Soul Reaver 2. And so on and so on. And see the story that started as you were so young. But yeah, I've never played the story through. And that kind of sucks.
I know there's obviously 1 and 2, but again, I've never played number 2 either.
Yeah.
Never played number 2. I didn't know there was a 3 or a 4.
Yeah, there's 2 more that follow it. One that's more based around Kane, one that's based around Raziel, and one that combines the 2 of them.
Are they both are they on PS2? Are they?
I'm not sure. I think most of them actually probably are on PS. They're certainly not on consoles that came afterwards.
I might have to go buy them and just do it all because I've never played them.
Same here. Same here. There you go. 10 things we hate about Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver. Let us know some of yours in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. You can check us out on gbhbl.com as well as on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and Tumblr. Go to Patreon to help us out over there. That's patreon.com/GBHBL as well as Big Cartel where you can find some of our merchandise. We have a podcast running on SoundCloud and Apple Podcasts. And of course, if you like this video, do us a favour, hit the subscribe button and help the channel grow. Games, horror and heavy metal. What else is life for?